Hello, friends. Craig Ballard, Locked On Blue Jays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. TGIF, in Blue Jay terms, not sure we're thanking God that it's Friday because on Friday, the Tampa Bay Rays come into town for a weekend series. That's the 13-0, pardon me, the 13-0 Tampa Bay Rays in town this weekend for a series against the Toronto Blue Jays. In today's episode of Locked On Podcast, we'll deep dive and get you set for all three games.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Craig Ballard. I am Locked On Blue Jays. I'm thankful you're spending part of your day talking Toronto Blue Jay baseball with me. And for those of you who are making Locked On Podcast your first podcast listen each day, shout out to you. Much appreciated. To the everydayers, the one taking in the podcast every day, can't thank you enough as well. And to those of you taking this in on YouTube, want to say hello. Want to thank you for spending your day, part of your day, talking Blue Jay baseball with me. Hit that subscribe, hit that like, hit that comment as well. Want to hear from you. Want to hear your thoughts on Toronto Blue Jay baseball. Oh boy, I got to take a deep breath here because we're about to talk about the Tampa Bay Rays. The Tampa Bay Rays, we joke about the reason for the baldness. The Tampa Bay Rays are the actual reason for my bald head. Absolute nightmare opponent for the Toronto Blue Jays. It never matters what's the team's record, who's playing well, who's in what place, who's healthy. Nothing matters. Nothing has mattered. The Tampa Bay Rays always beat the Toronto Blue Jays, and it drives me absolutely nuts. Overall, the Blue Jays 200 and 240 against the Tampa Bay Rays. Pathetic. Remember, the first 5 seasons, the Tampa Bay Rays were an expansion team. So the first 5 seasons, the Blue Jays won the series all 5 years. In the 20 years, 2 decades since, the Toronto Blue Jays have won the season series just 4 times. In the last 16 seasons, the Toronto Blue Jays have won the season series against the Tampa Bay Rays twice. A measly 2 darn times. Over the last 20 years, the Blue Jays 157 and 202. That's a .437 winning percentage against the Tampa Bay Rays. So think about how you felt about last year's Texas Rangers. Think about how you felt about last year's Miami Marlins. Think about how you felt about last year's Colorado Rockies. That's right around that .437 winning percentage. So the Toronto Blue Jays, when it comes to the Tampa Bay Rays, they're the 2022 Texas Rangers. They're the 2022 Miami Marlins. They're the 2022 Colorado Rockies. UDLY, it ain't got no alibi. It's ugly. How about at home? How about at Rogers Center? Well, not much better. 2017. That was the last season the Blue Jays won the home series against Tampa Bay in a seed. 18 and 24 since. Goodness. The overall season series, the Blue Jays won, took it 11 games to 8 in 2014, 10 games to 9 in 2017. Again, over the last 16 seasons, those are the only 2 winning seasons the Blue Jays have had against Tampa. And 11 and 8, 10 and 9, neither one was even dominating, right? Tell you, the Rays, my gosh, won't surprise you to find they're undefeated on the road. Now, they've only played 3 games on the road, right? So there's glass half full there. They haven't really been tested on the road. But the the other glass half full that you may think on paper is that Drew Rasmussen is going for the Rays tonight. And I stress on paper because he really is sort of, you could say their number 5 starter. So awesome. We face their number 5 starter right out the gate. That's the glass half full. But the glass half empty, I mean, the truth is Drew Rasmussen is awesome. Awesome. This season, 2-0, it's not allowed to run. 13 innings pitched, no runs on 3 hits. 13 innings pitched, no runs on 3 hits. Hasn't walked the batter, has 15 strikeouts. Pardon me, hasn't walked the batter, has 15 strikeouts. Let me tell you this about Drew Rasmussen. I hope you're sitting down for this one. Drew Rasmussen has gone to ball 3 on a batter so far this season once. It feels like by rule, Jose Barrios is at 3 balls with every batter. Drew Rasmussen, once. Absolutely incredible. Lefties are hitting 0.83 against Drew Rasmussen. Righties are hitting 0.53. Holy moly. The top of this Blue Jay lineup, which all of a sudden has Matt Chapman sick. Great. Like, what bad luck that was. He's on fire and all of a sudden he's sick. Oh, I'm so bad about that. Hopefully he'll be okay. But Chapman, Springer, Bow, and Vladdy, they combined 10 for 54 against Rasmussen. That's a 186 batting average. Vlad has had some extra base hits. Vlad's got 2 doubles and a home run versus Rasmussen. So if you take him out of that foursome and you're left with Chapman, Bow, and Springer, they've combined to hit just 135 against Rasmussen. Yikes. What will we see from Rasmussen? How he's got great stuff, right? Tell us about it. Well, it's a four seamer that'll run up there in the mid to high 90s. It's been very good. He's got a hard sinker in the mid 90s that's been very good. His cutter, unhittable, unhittable. In his career against the Blue Jays, just a 1-3 record, but a nifty little 2.33 ERA. At Rogers Center, 3.29 ERA. So any way you slice it, Toronto Blue Jays in trouble tonight. Toronto Blue Jays, if having an open, honest conversation, didn't exactly get the bats going in at the beginning of this homestand against Detroit, right? They barely did anything against the putrid Detroit Tigers pitching. So I'm so nervous. And I want to say, Tampa Bay's 13-0. That's 13 games. I would be every bit as nervous about this series if the Rays came in here at 7-6. Again, the history of these two franchises, Tampa Bay beats Toronto every damn time. Jose Barrios on the mound for the Blue Jays. Okay. Now, believe it or not, there's some glass half full stuff here, but let's start with the obvious. The glass half empty stuff, right? 0-2, ERA north of 11. My goodness. RE 12 earned runs, 15 hits. What I'm saying about some glass half full is he has only walked 3 batters and he is back to a strikeout per innings pitched, and he's only allowed 1 home run. So hopefully there's some good news in there. We talked about Rasmussen with that cutter. He's getting swings and misses left, right, and center with that cutter. Well, Barrios is having that same success with his slurve. It's the other pitches that have been such a nightmare. The changeup is getting rocked. His sink is getting rocked. His fastball, even though he runs it up there in the mid-90s, it should be helpful that he runs it up there so fast. It's not helpful. It's one of the worst pitches in all of baseball, getting annihilated. Jose Barrios has generated as many strike threes on his slurve as his other 3 pitches combined. The slurve has been good. The other ones have been awful. Now, what do we know about Jose Barrios? What's his issue? His inability to keep damage at 1 run. It's always crooked number run innings, right, against him. He's struggled so mightily righting his ship. Now, I said there were some glass half full things in here, though. How about 18-5 the Blue Jays are since they acquired Barrios at Rogers Center when Barrios on the mound at Rogers Center? 18-5. I mean, that's incredible. That's extremely good. In the 5 losses, Blue Jays have totaled 5 runs. So basically, when Jose Barrios has been on the mound for the Blue Jays at Rogers Center and the offense does anything, the Blue Jays have won that game. Another glass half full I want to point out. I thought literally Jose Barrios' best 2 starts last season, literally, were against the Tampa Bay Rays. He went 2-0 against the Rays last season, 11 1/3 innings pitched, just 3 earned runs. That's a 2.38 ERA. And if you take your mind's eye back to those games, he was generating ground balls like crazy. I think there was 2 best games of the season. Hopefully that's going to carry over here. I want to mention that no current Tampa Bay Ray has homered off of Jose Barrios, and he's only, as I said earlier, he's only given up the 1 home run. We'll finish the Barrios thought and Game 1 preview with this. Going to have to watch the Manuel Marco and Randy Rosarena. These are 2 batters that absolutely have hit Barrios in his career, so those are matchups we'll have to keep an eye on. We'll get right back to previewing this weekend's Jays-Rays series in just a moment, but first, try it for free for 30 days. Just enough time to try it and then forget about it, right? Well, in fact, over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about. You could be wasting money and not even realizing it. Rocket Money helps you find those forgotten subscriptions so you can stop paying for the ones you don't use. Do you know how much your subscriptions really cost? Most people think they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions, but the actual total is closer to $200. If you don't know exactly how much money you're spending each month, then you need Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills, all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about, and the chances are you're one of them, like that Stars app to watch that one show or that free gaming trial that you never even actually used. Rocket Money also helps you manage all your finances in one place and automatically categorizes your expenses so you can easily track and budget in real time and also get alerted if anything looks off. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving the average person up to $720 a year. Stop throwing away money, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. GameTime.co is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over tickets and start getting hyped over the fun you're going to have. What do I like and covet about the GameTime app experience? Well, flash deals on last-minute tickets, easy to find and buy for every event in your area, images of the seat views, and the lowest price guarantee. The lowest price guarantee, check that out. That means the game time, that's the game time guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Wow. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. It's the fastest growing ticket app in the country for a reason. You'd get images of your seats before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. You buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps, and you're all set. And the tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you don't have to go digging through your email. Snag tickets without the stress with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Hey, terms apply. Again, create an account, just redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Craig Ballard, Locked On Blue Jays. Now let's turn our attention to Saturday afternoon's matinee, 3:07 p.m. first pitch. The Tampa Bay Rays, side note, they've enjoyed Saturdays. The Toronto Blue Jays, not so much. The two of the Jays' worst games of the season have been on Saturdays. That 4-1 loss to St. Louis, and then Jose Barrios in that 9-5, whatever the heck that was, against Anaheim in that follow-up Saturday. The Rays, on the other hand, oh my goodness, they are loving life on Saturdays. They won their first Saturday game 12-2, and they won last Saturday 11-0. I know they're winning every day of the week these days, right? I know, but in particular, they're loving Saturdays. This particular Saturday, the Blue Jays will send Yusei Kikuchi to the mound. Now, Yusei Kikuchi, with all of his struggles against a team as good as Tampa, what could go wrong, right? Well, can I interest you in some glass half full optimism here? Yusei Kikuchi, 3-0 in his career versus Tampa, 1.88 ERA. Pardon me? His career ERA is over 5. You wouldn't think he has numbers this good against anybody, let alone a division rival that smashes the Jays. Now, this came from his time in Seattle mostly, but he's actually been good against Tampa as a Blue Jay as well. But I want to see those career numbers again, because I think that might have surprised you a little bit there. But 3-0, 1.88 ERA career versus the Rays. More cause, I hope, for optimism. Kikuchi at Rogers Center. Now, we're just going to have an open, honest conversation. Most of this was when he was a Seattle Mariner and was dominating the Blue Jays, granted, but it still took place on this mound. So he still seems comfortable on this mound. 6-3 at Rogers Center, 3.94 career ERA. Anything in the threes this day and age, that's legit. I will take that, especially from Yusei Kikuchi. I will take that. That Kikuchi's best game last season. How many good games did he have last year? I know, but he actually had a very good one against Tampa Bay. It was end of June at Rogers Center. 6 innings pitched. He allowed 1 solo home run the whole game. It was to Isaac Paredes. One run on that solo home run the whole game. 6 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts. And what's our issue with Yusei Kikuchi? He's so wild. He doesn't pound the strike zone. Just 1 walk in that game. 1 walk against 6 strikeouts, going 6 strong against Tampa. My goodness. For Yusei Kikuchi to be a major contributor to the 2023 Toronto Blue Jays, we don't need 6 innings and 1 run. But if he can keep it more like 6 innings, 3 runs, as opposed to the things we've seen with this Blue Jay offense, that should absolutely be enough to win way more often than they lose in that scenario. So we just need Yusei Kikuchi to be good. And against Tampa in his career, he's been great. Against Tampa last year, he was great. So hopefully some cause for optimism there. Now, this season, what have we seen from Yusei? This would be his 3rd start. The first 2 were the tale of 2 starts. Very good with the location and the stuff in that opener against Kansas City was really a continuation of how good we saw him be in spring training. Then the next start against the Angels, oh boy, a lot more of what we've seen in the past from Yusei Kikuchi. Way too many balls, missing his spot way too often. I know people want to point to that pop-up that got lost in the sun between Bo and Varsho as some really bad luck, and of course that's true, but it's also true that the next batter hit a home run, and 2 batters as well later on hit home runs. 3 home runs given up in 1 game, so I just don't have time for excuses or anything along those lines. Did he get some bad luck in that game? Absolutely, yes, but that had nothing to do with how wild he was. Back to those, way too many balls and giving up the 3 home runs. Completely unacceptable. The glass half empty with Yusei on the mound is a Tampa 5-0 this season so far versus lefties. Oh, you probably even saw that coming, right? You would have known they're doing great against lefties and righties, of course, but yeah, 5-0 against lefties. Now, this would have been who's going to be on the mound for Tampa. This would have been Tyler Glasnow's spot in the rotation, but he's not back yet. And let's just take a quick step back here to recognize that as incredible as Tampa Bay has been, as incredible as their pitching staff is, Tyler Glasnow's not even there yet. Shane Baz, who is awesome, huge upside. He's recovering from Tommy John. He won't be back till next year. So as incredible as this pitching staff is, they've got 2 ace level pitchers still coming back. One, Glasnow will be back this season. So my gosh, the Tampa Bay Rays, you can see why I picked them to win the AL East. So good. But anyway, so the Blue Jays don't have to face Glasnow today. As of now, the Tampa Bay Rays haven't announced who they're going to go with as the starter and could even be an opener. You know, Tampa uses an opener a lot on Saturdays. It looks like it's going to be either Josh Fleming or Jalen Beeks. Now, either one of those guys are lefties. Again, Blue Jays struggled mightily against lefties last season, 4-2 against lefties so far this season. Okay. So we'll see what happens there. Be careful, careful what you choose, right? To pick your poison, be careful what you ask for. That old saying, be careful what you ask for, because I'm going to say that I'd prefer it be Josh Fleming. Now watch Fleming go out and throw a gem against us. But the reason I say Fleming is he is the one and only Tampa Bay Ray pitcher pretty much who's been hit this season. Lefties hitting just 200 against him, so he's been good against lefties, but righties are hitting over 400 against Josh Fleming. So I know, careful what you wish for. I know. I want it to be Josh Fleming. He goes out there and does what you say did last year, 6 innings, 1 run. I know. But on paper, I do hope it's Fleming. The Craig's key for game 2 is going to be Whit Merrifield. Now, Whit Merrifield, one of the rare Blue Jays. We looked at how dominant Tampa Bay is against the Blue Jays. Whit Merrifield, and he hasn't done this as a Blue Jay, right? He just walked in the door as a Blue Jay. But in his career, Whit has not been afraid of the Tampa Bay Rays. Whit has not been playing the little reindeer games that the Tampa Bay Rays play to get all the Blue Jays out. Whit's been good against the Rays. In particular, as a side note, this is incredible because the Tropicana Field where Tampa Bay plays their home games has been just a house of horrors for the Blue Jays. So to know that Whit Merrifield has an OPS over 1,000 at the Trop is eye-popping emoji. That is outstanding. Whoa, almost knocked something over there. Sorry. Whit overall in his career against Tampa, no matter where they're playing, he's a 324 hitter, and his OPS 974 career against Tampa Bay. Wow, these numbers are going to work. Whit going to need to do some of that heavy lifting on the Saturday, I think, regardless of who the Rays throw out there. We'll get you right back to our Friday Locked On Blue Jays episode as we continue to deep dive the Rays and Jays weekend series. But first, I wanted to mention the Pro Baseball GM. This is one of the coolest games I've played in a while. I've always thought it could be a great Major League GM. Well, as it turns out, not all that easy. If you've had the same thought and fantasized about managing your own franchise, go and download Pro Baseball GM immediately. The game allows you to manage every strategic aspect of a franchise. You play through seasons and you lead your franchise and fans to glory as you build your historic franchise. In the simulation, you're responsible for hiring the right coaches and staff, managing the team finances, scouting and drafting players, managing through difficult personalities and injuries, and navigating your franchise through free agency and all the ups and downs of the season. All this in a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Baseball GM is completely free and playable offline, so you play on the go, as you want, when you want. Locked On Blue Jays listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On in the game store, so make sure to check that out. To download the game, just visit probaseballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up in the app stores. That's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM. Start your dynasty today. Craig Ballard, Locked On Blue Jays, back with you, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let's turn our attention to the Sunday finale, and I would love to be able to say on paper, this one looks like an absolute gem. I would love to be able to say it as it's Alek Manoah versus Shane McClanahan, but truth be told, on paper, you got Shane McClanahan at 3-0 with an ERA under 1, and Alek Manoah on paper, not so much, right? Not so much. Everydayers will remember that we talked about Alek Manoah before the season started, and I was stunned. There's like 3 or 4, analytics projection companies that take all the analytics and all their formulas and everything they do, and they come up with projections for how pitchers will do in the upcoming season. And every single one of them had Alek Manoah taking a huge step backwards. Every single one of them had him finishing with an ERA in the 4s. I mean, I get that's where that's the pace we're on right now, but certainly early, and we know that the man Manoah can turn things around. We know how special he is, in particular between the years. I think he's really wise beyond his years. So I certainly anticipate a turnaround from Alek Manoah. But if we're having an open, honest conversation right here, right now, we can't say that what a gem this is on paper, because on paper, right, Manoah not bringing it just yet. Now, what have we seen from Alek Manoah this season? His last start, oh boy, the only good start we've seen from him was that middle start in Kansas City, right? And he didn't even have his great stuff, but he battled. I was impressed with how he battled. His first start and his last start, wow, not so much, not so much. His most recent start, that was the home opener. Now, his fourth ever start at Rogers Center was back in 2021 against the Oakland A's. Now, if you remember that game, if you take your mind's eye back to that game, he was charged with 6 runs, pitched just 5 innings. That had to be the worst game of his career. Certainly the worst game he's ever pitched at Rogers Center. Well, that home opener that we saw back on Tuesday, man, not much better, if not worse. He was not sharp at all. Didn't even make it out of the 5th inning, and 5 walks. Now, Manoah's career high in walks is 6. He's had a few games where he's walked 4, and we know he hits batters. So we know that pinpoint control is not the calling card of Alek Manoah, but significantly better control is certainly what we've seen from him in the past. That needs to get cleaned up for sure. Now, all kinds of glass half full items to look at when it comes to Alek Manoah versus the Tampa Bay Rays, which is a ray of sunshine. Oh my gosh, I didn't even mean a pun on that. Tampa Bay Rays. I didn't even mean that. But Alek Manoah, when it comes to Toronto Blue Jays versus Tampa Bay Rays, is one of the rare rays of sunshine. We looked earlier at how the Rays just completely dominate the Toronto Blue Jays. Not when Alek Manoah is on the mound. Alek Manoah, 4-2 in his career against Tampa Bay, 1.42 ERA, 0.902 whip. Are you kidding me? Wow, and wow. 4-2 against a division rival that dominates you? Impressive. 1.42 ERA against a division rival that dominates your team? Wow. A whip below 1 against a division rival that dominates your team. My goodness, Alek Manoah, thank you for your work against the Tampa Bay Rays. Wow. The most recent time that he faced Tampa at Rogers Center was game 2 of a doubleheader back in mid-September. And if you remember that doubleheader, Tampa took the first game of that doubleheader. So Manoah with a gem in that second game to make sure that he helped his team right the ship against Tampa, make sure they didn't get swept at home against Tampa, right? In that game, the only blemishes for Manoah, a G-Man Choi home run and a Jonathan Aranda home run. Well, G-Man Choi is in Pittsburgh now, and Aranda's in the majors. So no issues there for Manoah, no worries there. In fact, no Tampa Bay Ray on this roster has ever homered against Alek Manoah. And you talk about a glass half full, current Tampa Bay Rays just 15 for 83. That's a 189 batting average against Alek Manoah. 25 strikeouts in there, just 3 walks. Video game numbers. Those are video game numbers. Just 15 hits allowed against 25 walks and 25 strikeouts, sorry, and just 3 walks. Wow. As I say, Alek Manoah, don't know how he smashes these Rays, but he smashes these Rays. What have we seen from the big fella this season? Well, the 4-seamer, I actually think the 4-seamer's been pretty good. Now, the velocity does seem down a titch. Can't be happy with that. It's early, right? Maybe that'll ramp up. Oh boy, the 2-seamer. Oh boy, that 2-seamer velocity seems down also, but he's missing his spots with the 2-seamer left, right, and center. And what has me stunned, the once completely unhittable slider, especially against righties, it's being dealt with this season. It's been hit this season. So surprised to see that. Alek Manoah's fly balls are through the roof compared to usual for him. And we talk about righties in particular against that slider, but righties in general, because the 2-seamer and the 4-seamer are so good against righties. Last season, opponents or right-handed batters hit 159 against Alek Manoah. Pardon me, 159 righties last season against Alek Manoah. This season, 259. An entire 100-point jump so far for righties versus Alek Manoah. I did not see this coming. I didn't. Again, yes. Hey, Craig, it's early. He'll turn this around. I hear you, and I agree with you. But we can only go on what we've seen so far. And the truth of what we've seen so far is Alek Manoah has been unrecognizable. The his control issues as well are leading to a lot less swings and misses. So we're seeing way more fly balls. Not ideal with the new dimensions at Rogers Center, and we're seeing way fewer swings and misses. So quite a few things Alek Manoah needs to get turned around. Hopefully this Tampa Bay Rays team, as good and as special as they are, I've predicted them from day one to win the AL East. I'm a big believer in this Tampa Bay Rays team, but it is true that Manoah's done well against them in the past. So hopefully, as odd as it sounds to say, because Tampa's so good, but hopefully they actually provide the cure for what ails Alek Manoah. On the other side of the coin, there's no ailing going on with Shane McClanahan. Wow. Absolute stud. I'm such a fan of Shane McClanahan's. I just think he's absolutely awesome. 3-0 start to his season, 0.82 ERA. The average score of the game when Shane McClanahan is on the mound for the Tampa Bay Rays this season has been 6-1 victory for Tampa. I mean, not even close. It's not even competitive. It's absolute beatdowns. It's absolute domination. Now, one glass half full thing for the Blue Jays here, or item for the Blue Jays here is, and we've talked many times about, and completely inexplicably how inexplicably bad the 2022 Blue Jays were against lefties. Well, off to a 4-2 start this in 2023 against lefties. Okay, that's significantly better. And what have we seen? It's not like they've just flipped the power switch on against lefties. It's this new lineup, the new depth and flexibility in this lineup right now, manufacturing runs. That's been key against these lefties. Hopefully see some of that continue against McClanahan on Sunday. McClanahan's got that four-seamer up in the high 90s. It's been excellent. His changeup has been excellent. His curveball has been excellent. Where the Blue Jays, I think, have a chance to make hay against McClanahan is his slider. That is the one pitch that has been hit this season. So if you're the Blue Jays, try to zero in, and when that slider, if he's making a mistake with that slider, if he makes a mistake with the location, or if it just hangs there, be ready to do damage against that slider. Another cause for optimism in this game. I know, hard to believe that there's a few causes for optimism against somebody as good as Shane McClanahan, but I will say this. He's had 3 starts this season. He walked 1 batter in the opener, then walked 4 in his second start and 4 in his third start. So if you're the Blue Jays tonight on Sunday, I really hope we see an approach where they're going up to the plate, looking to do damage against that slider, but above all else, not willing to play Shane McClanahan's little reindeer games, not willing to expand the strike zone, force McClanahan into the strike zone. Yes, his stuff is excellent. Absolutely, yes. But your chance is when you force him to throw strikes and swing at something in the strike zone. If you take those close pitches, he will walk you. Now, he's only given up, or so far it's what we've seen this season, he's only given up 3 runs all season. Well, 2 of them were directly results of walks. So need to have that eye, need to force McClanahan, as good as his stuff is, need to make sure you're forcing him in the strike zone on Sunday afternoon. Shane McClanahan, when he's on, how will you know he's on? You'll see the stuff, yes, but you'll see a lot of ground balls. When he's on, he's an absolute ground ball machine. Again, ideal for him at Rogers Center. He's actually had 2 starts at Rogers Center, and with the old dimensions, of course. Now, they were both last season, dominated in both of them, won both games, ERA under 1. He was awesome. One thing where McClanahan will be disappointed today, or I keep saying, I'm sorry, Sunday. On some, maybe you're taking this in on Sunday. Maybe it really is today. But the one thing that McClanahan will be disappointed with on Sunday is when he's checking the Blue Jay lineup card, he'll hope to see Lourdes there. He'll hope to see Teo there. He'll hope to see Gabby Moreno there. Of course, he won't see any of those 3. But last season, those 3 just 3 for 24 against Shane McClanahan. So he'll be disappointed. None of them are there on Sunday. Craig's key for the Blue Jays offensively on Sunday against McClanahan got to be George Springer. The everydayers will remember that we've talked a few times about how important it is for George Springer to be the catalyst at the top of this lineup. Bo and Vlad as well, yes. But we did a deep dive just before the season started at the Blue Jays record in games where George Springer hits a home run in his first or his second at-bat, and it's through the roof. When he's the catalyst early on for this offense, the Blue Jays win those games. And George Springer against Shane McClanahan, he's probably the only Blue Jay that's had success against him, in fact. 5 for 13, that's a 385 batting average, so already I'm happy with that. But how about the fact that 3 of those 5 hits left the ballpark? George Springer going to need to be the catalyst in that Sunday finale.